Hey there. Ever feel like cities are kind of playing catch up with all this new tech?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, today we're diving into how cities are actually using AI,
Mm-hmm.
the responsible kind,
Right.
to tackle some pretty big challenges.
Yeah.
We're going deep on the UN Habitat's Global Assessment of Responsible AI in Cities report from 2024.
Okay.
It's going to be a crash course on the trends, the success stories, and the issues that I think keep city leaders up at night.
It's a big one. This report is all about making cities better with AI, more resilient, more livable, and definitely more inclusive.
And that's a tall order, I think, for any city.
Huge.
So first things first,
Yeah.
are cities actually using AI or is it just a buzzword?
Oh, it's more than just a buzzword.
Okay, good.
75% of the cities they surveyed are planning on using AI for services,
Wow.
and something like 80% are already doing pilot projects or have AI systems up and running.
Those numbers are huge. I wouldn't have guessed it was that many.
Yeah.
But are cities ready for this? I mean, AI isn't something you just plug in and forget about, is it?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
And the report actually mentions that
Okay.
they call it a skills gap.
Oh, interesting.
Around 20% of CTOs
Yeah.
and over half of city employees working on AI projects don't have specific expertise, like in data science or actually putting AI into practice.
So it's one thing to have the AI, but it's another to know what to do with it.
It is, yeah. It's like setting sail without a navigator.
Exactly. So what are cities even hoping AI will solve? What are their priorities?
Well, the top three are all about working smarter, not harder.
Okay, I like that.
Automating tasks to save money,
Makes sense.
making services more efficient,
Of course.
and improving how they make decisions.
Right. Time, efficiency, resources, these are all universal concerns.
Yeah.
But are there examples of this actually working?
There are, yeah.
Yeah.
The report talks about a really interesting case in Hangzhou in China.
Okay.
They used AI for their traffic system, optimized traffic lights and everything.
Wow.
And they actually saw a 15% improvement in transportation efficiency.
15%. That's amazing. That impacts commutes, air quality, even in emergency response times.
Absolutely.
Okay, so AI has huge potential for cities,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm guessing it's not all easy.
It's not.
What roadblocks are they hitting?
Well, cost is a big one.
Sure.
AI isn't cheap.
Right.
And then there's making sure people's data is protected,
Right.
navigating all the legal stuff around AI,
Of course.
and then that expertise gap we talked about.
Yeah.
Those are the big ones.
Those are some serious hurdles.
Yeah.
Are there any examples of how these challenges are actually playing out in the real world?
Yeah. Amsterdam's using AI to find fraud in their housing market,
Okay.
which sounds good in theory, right?
Yeah, preventing scams.
Making sure everyone has access to housing.
Yeah.
But it's really controversial legally, whether it's effective
Oh, yes.
ethically.
It's like opening Pandora's box a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like we have all these amazing solutions, but it's also forcing us to ask some really tough questions.
it is. And it means cities have to plan carefully. You can't just have the technology. You have to think about what might happen,
Right.
how to use AI responsibly and ethically.
That makes a lot of sense. So speaking of responsibility, how are cities approaching the governance of AI? Are they going it alone or are they realizing they need some help?
They're definitely realizing they can't do it alone.
Yeah.
The report really stresses the need to work together
Yeah, okay.
with universities, with companies, even with citizens.
Okay, so bringing everyone to the table.
Yeah, collaboration is key.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about bringing different kinds of expertise and perspectives to the table, for sure. Are there any good examples of these collaborations working?
Yeah, Seoul, South Korea has a really cool example.
Okay.
They worked with companies to make AI speakers just for senior citizens who are lonely.
Hold on, AI speakers for lonely seniors. Tell me more.
Yeah, they offer companionship. They help with daily tasks. They can even call for help if there's an emergency.
So like a virtual companion and a guardian angel all in one. That's amazing. It really shows how AI can help with social needs. But I imagine there are concerns about privacy
Oh, for sure.
and the ethics of using AI in such a personal way.
And the report talks about that too. It's
All right.
about the human side of the technology.
Okay, so for cities looking to use AI responsibly, what are the key takeaways? What do they need to succeed?
Data.
Okay,
The report is really clear about this data management is essential.
right.
And right now it's a mess.
Okay,
Inconsistent standards, data silos.
a mess.
It's like baking a cake with the wrong ingredients.
Exactly. You can have the best oven in the world, but if you're missing ingredients, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
So what's the solution?
The report calls it co-creation.
Okay, I like that.
Get citizens involved early on, get their feedback, build
The
trust.
co-creation feels so much more human
It does.
than just imposing AI from above.
It is about collaboration.
Are there any cities doing this well?
Yeah, Amsterdam has this project called Data Crowd,
Datacrat, I like it already.
where citizens give feedback on AI projects.
What kind of feedback are they giving? That's a great question. I'm curious about that myself. What kind of impact are citizens having on these projects? Are their voices being heard?
They are, and it's making a difference.
Okay, good.
The report talks about how citizen feedback has actually changed some of the algorithms cities are using,
Oh, wow.
so they're making them fairer.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and in some cases, cities have even redesigned entire projects because of what they heard from citizens.
So they're really taking that feedback to heart.
They are. It's not just about saying they'll listen. They're actually doing it.
That's great to hear. So it sounds like cities are starting to really get this co-creation thing.
They are, but it brings up another question.
Okay, what's that?
Leadership.
Oh,
Who's actually in charge of all this AI stuff in cities?
right. It's not a job for just anyone.
Exactly. The report actually stresses that
Yeah.
you need strong leaders
Okay,
politically and in city management.
makes sense.
And it's not enough to just know about AI.
Right.
You need someone who can create a culture of innovation.
Which, let's be honest, can be tough in government.
Yeah, bureaucracy isn't exactly known for being super innovative.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So are cities finding the right people to lead this AI revolution?
It's a mixed bag. The report found that about 42% of cities feel like they have the right leadership in place,
Okay.
either fully or partially, but that still leaves a lot who are struggling.
So we need leaders who aren't just tech savvy, they need to be visionaries.
Exactly. They need to see the big picture, get people excited, and navigate all the ethical stuff around AI.
Right, because it's not just about managing a city anymore, it's about shaping the future.
You got it.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about the people leading the way, the culture they build and the values they prioritize.
And that brings us right back to citizens being involved.
Okay, how so?
It's not enough to just have good leaders. We need citizens who understand AI, the good and the bad.
Because at the end of the day, AI should be working for them.
Exactly.
So they need a seat at the table.
They do. And the interesting thing is,
Yeah.
the more involved citizens are in AI projects, the more aware they become.
That makes sense. The more you work with something, the more you understand it.
Yeah.
But are cities actually engaging citizens in a meaningful way?
That's where things could be better. Only about a third of cities with AI projects are actually co-creating those solutions with their citizens.
So there's a gap there
Definitely a gap.
between talking about it and actually doing it.
Yeah, a real missed opportunity to make AI development truly citizen-centric.
Are there any differences in how cities in different parts of the world are approaching this?
There's some interesting variations, actually.
Okay, like what?
Well, European and Latin American cities seem to be leading the way when it comes to just keeping citizens informed.
Okay.
American cities are good at consulting with citizens
Right.
during those pilot projects.
Uh-huh.
And African cities are really good at involving citizens and actually building and launching those AI systems.
Wow, so different strengths in different regions.
Yeah. Which makes sense, right?
It does, because every place has its own way of doing things.
Exactly. Different cultures, different levels of trust between people and their governments.
So there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Definitely not. Cities have to figure out what works best for them and their citizens.
Okay, so we've talked about leadership, citizen engagement, and taking a holistic approach to AI. But what are some concrete recommendations? What can cities actually do to make this work?
Well, the report gives a lot of practical advice,
Okay.
and it's broken down into three main areas.
Okay, let's hear them.
AI for local government and public services.
Okay.
Responsible AI in cities, more broadly.
Okay.
And what cities need to actually achieve their capabilities.
Okay, so let's break those down. What are some of the key recommendations for using AI in those everyday city services?
Well, it starts with a strong foundation,
Okay.
a clear governance model, how decisions will be made, a whole system for responsible AI.
So it's like building a house, you need a good foundation first.
Exactly.
Okay, what about responsible AI in cities more generally? What are the recommendations there?
The report really emphasizes sustainability,
Okay.
making sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
So using AI to build a more equitable and resilient city for the long haul.
Yes, AI for good.
I love that. Okay, finally, what about those capabilities for responsible AI? What do cities need to actually make this happen?
The report breaks it down into 4 stages:
Okay.
framing, designing, implementing, and maintaining responsible AI.
So like a roadmap for success.
Exactly. And each stage needs specific capabilities.
Okay, so what are some of the must-haves for each stage?
Well, framing responsible AI means things like raising awareness about AI, providing guidance on how to use it effectively, and having good data management practices.
So setting the stage for success.
Right. Designing responsible AI means thinking about the ethical side of things from the start.
Okay.
How to reduce risks and building human values into those AI systems.
So it's not just about the tech, but also the human impact?
Exactly. Then implementing responsible AI requires good communication, working with stakeholders, and having clear accountability.
Making sure everyone's on the same page.
Right. And finally, maintaining responsible AI. That's about constantly monitoring, evaluating, and adapting those systems over time.
So it's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process.
Exactly. It's about continuously learning and improving, making sure those AI systems are always working for the people they're supposed to serve.
This is a lot to take in. It's clear that responsible AI in cities is complex.
It is, but it's also incredibly exciting.
It is. Cities are at the forefront of this, and the choices they make now will have a huge impact in the years to come.
Absolutely. It's a pivotal moment.
It feels like we're on the edge of something really remarkable. But it requires careful thought and a commitment to getting it right.
I agree. Now, with all that said,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the biggest fears cities have about AI? What keeps them up at night?
Well, the report identifies a few big ones.
Okay, like what?
Cost is a biggie.
Makes sense. Especially for cities with tight budgets.
Right.
Then there's the whole data privacy thing.
Of course.
How do you use AI without compromising people's information?
Right. It's a tough balance.
It is.
And then there's the legal stuff,
Oh, yeah.
which seems like it's changing all the time.
Constantly. It's
Yeah.
hard to keep up.
Are there any stories from the report that really show these challenges in action?
There is actually Amsterdam again.
Okay.
Remember, they're using AI to spot fraud in the housing market?
Yeah, trying to make housing fair.
Exactly, which is a great goal.
It is, but it's sparked this huge debate.
Oh, how so?
Well, is it even legal what they're doing? Is it effective? And is AI really the right tool for this job?
It's a good example of how AI can have unintended consequences.
Totally. Something that's supposed to be a solution can actually create a whole new set of problems.
Exactly. So it's not enough to just implement AI.
No.
You have to do it carefully and make sure it's protecting people's rights.
And that it's fair and transparent? Exactly. Which is why this whole collaboration thing is so important.
It's essential.
Cities need to be talking to citizens, experts, policymakers, every step of the way,
Right from the beginning.
making sure those AI systems are actually serving the community.
That's the goal. It's about working together to create a vision for how AI can benefit everyone.
AI for good. So how are cities using AI to promote sustainability?
Oh, there's some really cool examples.
Like what?
Cities are using AI to make buildings more energy efficient,
Okay.
manage waste better, and even to get ready for natural disasters.
So they're using AI to tackle some of the biggest challenges cities are facing.
They are, and the report really emphasizes this,
Okay.
aligning AI with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals.
So using AI to address things like poverty and climate change.
Exactly. It's about making the world a better place.
It's not just about making cities run more smoothly, but using AI to benefit everyone.
People and the planet.
Exactly. Speaking of which, what about social inclusion? How can AI make cities more equitable?
That's huge.
Hmm?
The report talks about using AI for things like improving access to healthcare and education,
Okay.
and to combat discrimination.
So using AI to level the playing field a bit.
That's the idea, but we have to be honest.
Okay.
AI can also perpetuate biases if we're not careful.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
It is. So cities have to be really thoughtful about how they design and use these AI systems.
Making sure they're promoting fairness and not making existing problems worse.
Exactly. We have to be intentional about it. AI is a tool,
Right.
and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
So it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it.
Exactly. It's a huge responsibility.
It sounds like it, but also a huge opportunity.
Definitely. This report really highlights that
Mhm.
AI has the potential to completely change our cities,
Absolutely.
but it's up to us to make sure those changes are positive.
To create cities that are more sustainable, more resilient, and more inclusive for everyone.
Well said. That's what it's all
This
about.
has been an amazing conversation. So much to think about.
It has.
From the challenges to the amazing possibilities of AI.
It's a really exciting time to be working in this field.
It really is. So as we wrap up, what's the most important thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
That AI is about people.
I like that.
It's not just about lines of code or algorithms.
Right.
It's about how we use this technology to shape our world.
And to make sure it reflects our values.
Exactly.
It's a call to action for all of us to get involved, to ask tough questions, and to make sure AI is a force for good in our cities and in our world.
I couldn't agree more.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of responsible AI in cities. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.